What's up, and welcome back to the Kinda Funny screencast. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, joined by the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hello, Tim.
We have the master of hype, SnowBikeMike.
Top of the morning to you, Tim.
And making his return after a whole week off, the one and only Big Kev Dog.
It's good that everything has gone super smoothly so far on this first show. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
First run, no big deals. We're going to keep going.
Monday's looking
smooth.
great.
Mondays are looking great. The rest of the week's going to look great because this is the Kinda Funny screencast where each and every week we get together to talk about the latest in TV, movies, and trailers. And boy, golly, let me tell you what, this week decided to be the week of movies, TV, and trailers. We got a ton of stuff that we're going to be reacting to. And I am going to be honest with you, I don't know how we're going to make it all happen, but that's why we appreciate your patience so much as you check us out on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. And podcast services around the globe. Just search for Kinda Funny Screencast, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show live as we record it and ad-free, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Anonymous, Molecule, and Fargo Brady have all done. Today, we are brought to you by Me Undies. But just let me give you a little bit of housekeeping here, because here on the Kinda Funny Screencast, we got right now, we're recording the review to Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. Then later today, we're going to be reacting to, I can't fucking even wait to say this, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The trailer is out. We're reacting to it. I can't wait for that. That'll be live right here as well. Then tomorrow, we're going to be doing the Thor Love and Thunder trailer reaction and Better Call Saul the final season part 1 finale screencast reaction. On top of all of that, we're ending the week with Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 1 and 2 screencast. And then on the in-review side, we're not doing one in-review this week. We're doing 2 in-reviews this week. Why, Nick Scarpino?
Oh, because Top Gun Maverick is coming out at the end of this week, and we got to watch it.
It'll be me, it'll be Mike, it'll be Matt Batson and Nick Scarpino talking about Top Gun for my very first time. That's going to be later today for patreon.com/kindafunny people. Otherwise, it'll be tomorrow. We're recording Top Gun Maverick on Friday. Very exciting stuff overall. So yeah, stay tuned to youtube.com/kindafunny and the different podcast feeds for screencast and in review for a whole bunch of super dope stuff that I'm very excited for. We are thriving out here in content land, everybody. But without further ado, I want to get into it right now. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers came out on Disney Plus last Friday. Wanted to talk about it with this beautiful group of gentlemen. What we're going to do is we'll start off spoiler free, give our thoughts, give our review on the Kinda Funny scale of 1 to 5. Then we'll cut to ads, and when we come back, full spoilers, talk about all the cameos, talking about all the fun stuff that's going on. SnowBikeMike, I want to start with you. What did you think of the Lonely Island's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
Tim, those boys crushed it. This was a ton of fun. I smiled every single scene, and I think we can compare it to what we did previously with Space Jam: A New Legacy, right? Everybody talked about that, and they said, it's just a massive IP dump. They're just putting people in there to make it look cool, right? As opposed to this film, where every single scene they had awesome nods and references to different IP from across the universe. Shout out to Disney for getting people I never thought they could get, but they did it, and it was really, really well done. I smiled every scene. I had a fun time. When I look at the Kinda Funny review, I give it a 3 out of 5. It's an okay movie, but I think it's a fun time, and I highly encourage people, whether you're an adult that loves these kind of movies like me, I'm a big animation guy, or maybe you just go check it out with your kids. I think everybody will have a fun time.
Nicholas Scarpino.
Yeah, I'm right there with Mike. I think this one came together. It was very enjoyable. I think that it was still slightly lacking in that magic that a film like Who Framed Roger Rabbit sort of had. And I don't know, I can't quite put my finger on why I won't rank this a little higher than Mike did. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it got some good laugh out louds for me. I think it's kind of held back a little bit by the fact that it still has to be sort of a Disney property and be on Disney Plus, and they can't really go, R-rated. Well, obviously they want to go R-rated with it, but a little harder with it, I think may have made me vibe with it a little bit more, because it's so full of commentary and so full of fun that I wish they could have let them go a little wilder with it. But I really enjoyed it, and it's a fun movie, especially since you can sit down and stream it in your living room. Definitely give it a watch. I would absolutely give it a 3 out of 5 as well.
Kevin Coelho.
Yeah, I thought I was shocked by how much fun it was. Like, the trailers made it look like it had the potential for being a lot of fun, but I was worried it could have gone either way. We've seen that happen before, where it's like, ugh, the style's there, but it doesn't pan out. But I think that for the most part, that like the story was good enough that I was pretty invested. I do think that for me, it's a solid 3 out of 5. And leaning a little bit more towards the 4 side, just a tiny bit. I think it's just missing a slight, like they could have gone one more pass on the actual story. But other than that, I think that it has a lot of really fun moments that are like entertaining to like point at and pause and be like, that's this or that's that. And yeah, I mean, I watched it on an airplane on my iPad, and I was utterly shocked at how much I enjoyed it. I think it's a great kids movie, and I think that it has enough in there for like adults to keep the adults entertained. So like, and that's a big deal for me, I think, when it comes to kids movies, because sometimes you'll watch kids movies that are fun, but like too kiddie. And this one had enough little stuff peppered in there that I think kept me intrigued. And yeah, I think I might actually watch this again at some point.
See, it's interesting that you say it's a kids movie because I'm wondering who this movie's for. That really kind of like that's kind of what brought it down for me a little bit was because I'm like, I think they made this movie for me, but I don't know if I'm necessarily the target audience that's going to be like widely watching this thing, because it kind of on the offset it feels like a kids movie, but there's so many references to like adult oriented things that I wish they're too middle of the road with it. I wish they had just made this movie for people who were original fans of Chippendale's Rescue Rangers back in '89, which was me, who are now 40-year-olds and get all these references, seeing Senator Beavis Butthead or Senator Butthead, seeing all these things that are, you know, stuff that's right up my alley. I don't know that kids are really going to pick up on a lot of that stuff. I think the only thing that's really here for kids is that it's just two cute little squirrels running back and forth. But even the meta commentary of like one of them getting plastic surgery to like look 3D and be better, like all that stuff is very, very like, I don't know, it's kind of adult. So I'm curious to see, like, does anyone have a kid? We have, I don't know, maybe Benjamin can watch this and scribble out something on paper as to whether or not it kept his attention or not. But Tim, what did you think of Chip?
I'm a little higher than you guys. I think the overall sentiment, I'm right there with you, where I am between a 3 and a 4, but I think at the end of the day, I lean more towards 4, saying it's great. And that's because I think it really nailed its intent. I think it nailed what it was going for, in opposition to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that I think focused more on the crime noir side. This focused more on the comedy side, and I think it succeeded at doing that. It made me laugh a whole bunch of times. Unlike things like Space Jam, A New Legacy, it didn't just feel like using IP for IP's sake. It felt like anytime there was a reference, it wasn't just, look, there's a reference. In case it was just background painting stuff, which, like, yes, there's a ton of references everywhere, but like what Nick was saying about the Beavis Butthead thing, it's like, that's one of those things that if you don't see it, it does not affect the movie at all. It's more just like, that's only, it's additive Easter egg, just kind of like world building stuff. So I appreciated that, because I thought anytime that there was an actual character or the dialogue, all of that, there was always a joke. Like, it was never just a reference. It was always like part of the plot, part of the actual point of the movie, which I think is the real difference between just like an IP orgy that doesn't work and the ones that actually have a lot more heart, like things like the Lego movie. And I think that this definitely falls more on that side. I think that some of the things that hold us back the most for me are, even though it was only an hour and a half, it did start to feel a little bit long. And I think that the final act, while really cool for some reasons, I think lacked the kind of raising the stakes that we saw from things like Lego movie or Lego Batman movie, even. Like, I guess it's just the Lego movies, but those are similar types of movies to this, the meta commentary IP kind of like smorgasbords. But I think that this one really worked for me, and I was consistently entertained. There was multiple moments where I was like, I can't believe they're doing this. And I think that the idea of who's this movie for, I think that makes this one better for me, where I'm like, this feels like an adult movie that kids are going to really love, more so than kind of the other way around. Like, I think it was made for the us's to an extent, but I think that and that's Lonely Island's kind of thing, right? Where it's like they make butt jokes, and we laugh and kids laugh. Like they're just good at that. And I don't think it all hits, but I do think it hits way more than it misses, and I think that it hits in what it was trying to do. But in terms of like the kids not getting the references and stuff, it's like I think that we are really vastly underestimating like what kids are capable of and used to these days. Like we grew up, I mean, when I first watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like I didn't know at least 50% of the characters and ideas on screen, but it's like that motivated me to want to know. It made what I appreciated most about watching Roger Rabbit as a little kid was it opened my eyes to, oh my God, there's this vast history that I am interested in, and I now want to go learn more about. And then over the decades, I got to do that. But to think about kids who are probably going to be motivated in the same way from this movie and then have the access to immediately watch them on Disney Plus, like that's awesome. Because, you know, I feel like our generations all kind of grew up with just what was given to us and whatever our parents kind of told us, or like things like Nick at Night and whatever. But as generations went on more and more and more, there's just more and more and more access to the content out there. So I think kids' understanding of old classic kids animation and stuff, I think is a lot different than ours was. And I think it kind of sets them up better to understand this. But at the end of the day, there's just funny squirrels making butt jokes. So I think it's going to work really well for them as well. But yeah, go for it, Nick.
I was gonna say, I think that's super valid, right? I think that was the same kind of reaction I had when I originally watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit too, right? I grew up watching a lot of the Disney cartoons and a lot of the Looney Tunes cartoons, but to see them all together and stuff, you didn't really stop to think about that. You were like, this is just cool to see live action. I mean, the for lack of a better term, the gimmick of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was like live action with cartoons characters like interacting with them, was so well done and so cool that when you're a kid, you're like, this is just incredible. And I think this is going to hit the same way for a lot of them. The one difference I would say is that I just feel like, and maybe I'm looking at Who Framed Roger Rabbit through rose-colored glasses because I haven't watched that film in a while. Although I did pop it on last night, and the 4K like redo of it is stunning. But I highly recommend everyone go watch that. But I just remember the plot keeping my attention more as a kid than this one kept as an adult. And I think that's kind of what drags it down. Is Tim, you're right. By the end of it, I'm like, this could end now. And it's not that long. And that's not how it should be. They should be leaving me wanting more, not saying like, okay, cool, we're done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the script needed one more pass.
Something, right? I think the story with Chip and Dale is there. Yeah. But I just think that the overall plot of what's going on is just not very interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's just not very interesting.
I think that the plot is awesome, and I think that it's what makes this movie a 4 to me compared to a 3. I just think it's more the end bits that I was kind of like, oh, I was looking for it to be upped, and the ante just wasn't upped as much as it needed to be. But I think that the value of it is the plot in this one, I think, is as good as the comedy is for the most part. Where the plot of what they're doing, I love that they're taking the animation world seriously, and that is kind of the meta decisions they're making of like what topics they're covering and the locations they go to. And we'll talk more in spoiler times a little more clearly about this. But I thought that it's a very smart movie. Like I thought that this was really well written, and it wasn't just like, how do we just get a bunch of cartoon characters together? It's like, no, they had a story they were telling, and then they used the cartoon characters. And I think that context is very important. And to me, why I think this movie succeeds is that even if you don't know who a character is, they do a good job of explaining to you who they are in the world and who they are in relation to each other, and the amount of varied animation styles that we see in this movie. Like, I think that this movie is not supposed to be a direct one-to-one comparison to Roger Rabbit. There's obviously some things that are comparable, but I appreciate that this one didn't just try to do exactly what that did. I think that it does it in a modern way. And yeah, like there's the Robert Zemeckis factor to Who Framed Roger Rabbit that like the point of that one was pushing technical boundaries and like making a 80s motion picture. Whereas I feel like this one is a bit more like nostalgia heavy, but like trying to do nostalgia right. And I think they did that.
Yeah. This one's way more self-aware, which I think is what their purpose, right? I mean, when you have Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as your leads, you're going to get a lot of crazy fun references that kind of break the fourth wall. And we do that in this.
Sorry, my nose. I was about to sneeze. I do think that one of the big things in Who Framed Roger Rabbit is that technical, like the technical artistry that went into everything. Like the famous line, not line, but the thing that came out of the bumping the lamp. right? Where there's the scene where his ears bump the lamp, which was a technical like
Unbelievable. It's
feat
so
that they
cool.
had to really nail. I think that is one of the things that like they didn't do a great job. Like there's a lot of moments in here where it's like it doesn't look great, and or like there's a fight scene at the end where a character is fighting, and a lot of it looks like an actor just laying there going, you know. And I kind of wish we had stepped that up a little bit because.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that like you're also missing a couple elements from Roger Rabbit. I mean, I hate to compare this because Tim's right. It's like it's not really a fair comparison because it's obvious that they watched Roger Rabbit, love it, and
But before you compare, before you do it, let me tell you about our sponsors.
right.
And now we're gonna get full spoilers from here on out. Go for it.
It's obvious that these guys love Roger Rabbit, and this is an homage to that movie, and they're paying respect to it. I'm not comparing these in any way. I don't think it's good to say like one's better than the other because they are two distinctly different movies. But the one thing I will say is like Roger Rabbit, I think had a more interesting plot because it was a mystery. I think it was a better mystery than this. And I think it had a much more interesting and much more terrifying bad guy when Christopher Lloyd, who played that absolutely. I mean, that thing terrified me when I was a kid. When he actually like when he pulls his eyes, like takes the glasses off, and he's got the tune eyes and all that stuff. And I think we were just kind of missing that. No disrespect to Will Arnett and the crew on this one, but you know we kind of figure out who the bad guy is right off the bat. You're like, that's no fun.
I mean, I feel like it could have been fun, but like it was, I think, very simple and like. Oh, what is the plot? Like, what's the reasoning? Oh, he got mad and now he's just in control, and the other guy just wanted money. He was just being greedy, and it's like that seems like a little lazy to me because it was like, all right,
But
I just don't think mystery was the point, though. And I think that's the thing. It's like an interesting plot.
Well, I mean, but that's a huge aspect. That's a huge aspect of the movie. Like, it is a comedy, but it is also a buddy cop detective.
Yeah,
like
the detectives.
Like,
yeah,
movie.
but I don't think they were ever trying to like make us feel like we were figuring it out as it goes. It was more about putting them in situations and like having Peter Pan grow up and that be why he's upset. Like that and the ramifications of that from an animation and lore standpoint, I think that's the bit. Like that's the thing. But Mike, you were about to say something?
Oh, I was just talking about the crew. I thought it was really, really fun to see Sweet Pete and his crew, right? I think Seth Rogen and Will Arnett absolutely kill it. I don't know if the polar bear is a Coca-Cola polar bear, but that's how I did it, and I loved it.
100%.
Right?
That's so funny.
I think that's a big shout out to the voice acting cast, right? You have a killer cast here where you hear the voices and you smile immediately because you know who they are. And to get the little bits, right? Like Seth Rogen, for example, when he falls down at the Comic-Con convention, they bring in all the other Seth Rogens, right? That he's played. It's just fun times, right? And I think, I had a good time with that. And I think the voice acting really elevated it, seeing and hearing all these different voices. And Sweet Pete was pretty awesome. I liked his motivation. I liked what happened to Sweet Pete.
Dude,
I like Sweet Pete a lot.
The other thing that kills me is that we have to take a step back here. We didn't even talk about this. This is a very, very, very well done, very expensive, very talent-packed movie for a Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers reboot. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? Yeah. That's why this movie, out of anything, people should watch this. Because it's Chip and Dale. Like, they weren't that big. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm like, there's so many more other properties that probably deserved this much of a remake, more than that, but that's what makes this fucking genius.
I just love that the way that they start the movie and they do the whole behind the scenes recap and the catch up from the 80s and the parties. And we did the Roger Rabbit with Roger Rabbit. Like, I just think, again, it's smart. I think that they really nailed what they were going for. And people were tweeting at me, and I appreciate y'all so much for not spoiling this shit for me. But people were tweeting me like, Tim, watch this fucking movie ASAP, which I was already planning on doing. But they're like, in the first 15 minutes, like, you were going to fucking lose your shit. And they were goddamn right. When so Ugly Sonic is revealed, and every time Ugly Sonic comes back, and the fact that he's voiced by Tim Robinson, the guy from I Think You Should Leave, the Netflix comedy series, everything about that is perfect. And Ugly Sonic actually being friends with the FBI at the end, like, it could not be better, y'all.
He got his shot. It was so good.
So I saw an article that was saying that like they didn't actually get permission. It was just parody.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so like
really,
yeah, they didn't according to this art thing I was reading, that like that's why he's a little bit chubbier. He's got like bags under his eyes, and they always call him Ugly Sonic. They don't ever call him Sonic. He talks about Sonic, so it was considered parody. So it was someone was being interviewed, and I think maybe the writer and they were like, yeah, shout outs to the like legal team. Like we had to be very careful with everything that we said, so that like we didn't get in trouble for any of it.
I saw another piece of trivia that said that that Disney back in the day actually wanted to make a show called Double O Duck, but got stopped by the Broccoli's for who owned Double O, I guess, because of Bond.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so that's actually kind of the Double O Dale was actually
Double O
based on
Dale.
something, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, the Ugly Sonic was great when he's like, "Yo, Ugly Sonic, we got to go fast," and he's like, "Fast isn't really my thing. That's the other Sonic." That was a really good scene, and I loved, like you said, the beginning. Right, we see the fallout between the two, and then you see where Dale is, right, doing the Comic-Con stuff, and then when they first show Chip, I really thought, oh, Chip is still acting. He's doing like an Allstate commercial, and then it zooms out, and he's like, oh no, he's just an insurance agent now. Like, dude, that's his life now. It's wild. It's a good time.
That's the thing is, go for it, Nick.
I was gonna say I want to give a shout out to the production design also, because whoever decided to make the small houses was this. That's the smartest
Loved
thing.
it.
That's so funny, and the life-size dog in the small house was hilarious.
I just love the commitment to it being a fun story that is quote unquote worth telling, and that kind of being the start of it all. Like, okay, if we're gonna reboot a Chip and Dale movie, like what's that gonna look like? To Nick's point, it's like, I mean, real talk, I am the target audience. I've seen probably every episode of Chip and Dale out of order over the course of my life.
Yeah,
I could barely remember the names of some of the people. Like, that's the type of franchise that is. Like, I don't think that it holds this nostalgia for people where they are the most intense fans, but there are intense fans of the Disney Afternoon collection as a whole and all that. But I love that this movie is not just Disney. Like, they, unlike Roger Rabbit, that was just, there was the 1 bit or 2 bits, whatever, of getting the like the crossovers where you see like what was it? Daffy and Donald and Mickey and Bugs. Like, it's just constant, and the amount of references and like not even just references, the amount of like uses of non-Disney IP.
Batman in this. They have at one point I saw on Reddit. I didn't catch this in the movie, but on Reddit there was Dobby in a Gucci outfit.
Awesome. Cool Greg needed a moment after that.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's just so fun. I mean, you have to have that, right? And the more of that stuff you can cram into a property like this, the better it is. Because you're right. That is a lot of the fun factor of this, is just seeing how creative they can get with that. But when they pop that Batman broke my brain. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait, I'm watching this on Disney Plus, and they got the rights to use Batman for a hot second. That's cool.
But see, the thing that I appreciate most about this is that, like, sure, the references are what they are. And I know a lot of people get really cynical about that type of thing, but I think it's backed up with things like Comic-Con being such a set piece of this movie, where it's like they're treating these characters like washed up actors. Like, that's such a great concept for it's not just, oh, these cartoons, they're actors, and that's how the cartoons happen, the shows. But it's like, okay, but how do they live their daily life? And like seeing that, like, some of them are celebrities, some of them, like Monterey Jack, like being still hopelessly addicted to cheese in the real life.
Stinky cheese,
it's just so fucking good.
Played by Eric Bana, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But to your point, Tim, I don't remember the name of that character. I couldn't remember the name of the bug or Gidget. I think is the other one's name. I couldn't pull any of those out of my ass Gadget. Thank you. Before I watched this movie. But you're right. The nostalgia comes from that block. The nostalgia comes from the block of this Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, the Gummy Bears, which I think actually might have been a little earlier. But all of that is kind of where they come through, and I like that they reference a lot. At one point, they walk by and they see Scrooge McDuck, swimming through the gold just randomly in the spa, which was hilarious.
We got South Park.
Yeah, you got Randy.
Which was
which is hilarious.
That's a reference. Yeah, that's a reference.
That's my point. Like, that is again another very, very adult reference to a South Park episode, or to an ongoing gag in South Park.
But they don't own South Park, right? Like, they're
that's Comedy Central. But I mean, maybe who the hell knows? I think the lawyers just said, we'll give you guys some money and we'll just license it for a hot second, because who wouldn't do that? I mean, it's John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. But that is the one thing that, like, I love the setup for this movie. I just wish that they could have made this movie like legit rated R and gone crazy.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would have made it a lot stronger.
I think it would have made it stronger, because I think that these guys bump up against that constraint here and there, and they have to kind of dumb down the humor a little bit. And I think it works for the most part. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't laugh the entire way through this. But I would have liked to have seen. It's kind of what my expectation was for the Happy Land murders, and that movie kind of fell short for me as well. But I was hoping this could be that, which was like, let's make a kids movie that's rated R, that's using all these things, because I think the setup of them being these out of work actors and the kind of noir aspect of them kind of being in LA, I love that. I just wish they could have pushed it a little bit farther with, kind of a slightly more scary and harder mystery and slightly more imposing antagonist.
Yeah, I what I was saying about like the end, kind of like missing the like that like I was hoping for like
do you remember
a twist of format of some
Yeah,
type,
me too.
Yeah.
something like that, just because I feel like that's we've seen things like this before, so it's like when I've been wowed before, I'm kind of expected to be wowed again. Having said that, though, I do appreciate that the end was like, no, it's Rescue Rangers. We're gonna get in the ship. They're gonna fly. We're getting the team together. Like, oh, that I'm like, I had chills, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting chills for a fucking Rescue Rangers thing in 2022. But like, they did the thing, y'all. They did the thing for me where we got the original theme song, we got an orchestrated epic version of the theme song, and then we got a Post Malone version of the theme song with a joke about it, and an incredible credit sequence going through everything, ending with the Darkwing Duck tease. Like, it was just perfect for me. We even got Vin Diesel. We got Fast and Furious in this bitch. That's twice.
So funny. That's so funny. I will say one of the things that I was a bit disappointed with was I was like, I and this is just me being the kid that grew up in the 80s with Roger Rabbit. I was like, is he gonna be CG the whole time? And I just didn't like that Chip was CG or Dale was CG.
Yeah, I was hoping at the end he would go through the
back.
thing.
Yeah, going back to 2D.
I think that would have been so much better. Oh, they're gonna make him back. Yeah.
I just feel like the 3D is just so much more modern, and having them be 2D the entire time, like seeing him do 2D, and they did a really, really good job, especially with the shadowing and all that stuff. Because I think it wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was like cell shaded 3D, right? For how they didn't hand draw anything.
I mean, the budget for this movie was not Hollywood Pictures level. Yeah,
but still, I mean, it was. I mean, honestly, to speak kindly about all the CG in it, though, it looked great. I mean, everything looked, I thought, fantastic. And
it worked with the style they were going.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I wish they had kept the 2D. I just like the 2D style better. I think the tech is there to actually do that 3D for 3D for 2D style with the cell shaded. That just looks so good. And I'm like, make another one of these. Why not? I'd watch another one.
I bet they're going to. Like, this is so far. It seems like it's a hit. People seem like they're really into it. Like they were talking about turning it into a franchise, which I am all fucking about.
That was the other thing that I thought they nailed, which was, so there's in the beginning of. Do you guys remember how Roger Rabbit starts?
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts with the Baby Stay Out, right? Yeah. And then they go cut, and it cuts, and the set that was drawn is physical. Yeah. But you see the baby, and you see Roger Rabbit there. I loved every time they cut to these smaller physical sets, like the actual, like their clubhouse that was in the tree, and you see them like celebrating, and like he gives the speech. I'm like, that is so well done and so fun to see with all the live, like with Akiva, I forget his last name, but the guy that directed this, the other Lonely Island guy, like in the director's chair, is like, cut, great job, guys. All that stuff to me worked really well.
There was a moment right there that I thought was really awkward where they held the laugh for too long.
It's such a bad joke,
and it's just funny. Like, What was the joke there?
The joke is that every episode
ended that way,
ended with them laughing like that, and it was so awkward because it was a dumb joke. And then at the end, the payoff is Kiki Lane was like, "How long do we have to hold this for?" He goes, "Just as long as you." It's like
the dumber the joke, the longer we go.
I
love that. Oh yeah,
Kiki Lane, one of the weaker points of the movie for me. I feel like the
didn't give her much to do with
person. And unfortunately, she had to be there. She was necessary for the plot. I get it, but like I just feel like it. The moments that they gave her, I think, were like some of the weaker moments for me. Like the reveal of the Chip and Dale fucking house with all the stuff. That was the stuff that just didn't work for me. Where it kind of just felt like, okay, we have to get through this part. Okay. Right.
Well, that was the other thing that drags it down a little bit. Is that, I hate to keep comparing it to Roger Rabbit, but there's so many direct comparisons you can make. There's no Bob Hoskins in this. Yeah. And Bob Hoskins was so good as I don't want to be here. I don't want to deal with any of this, like, burned out detective, that him juxtaposed with Roger Rabbit's like insane manic happiness was just so fun to watch. It's a great dynamic. And in this one, you just have kind of Kiki Lane doing, whatever they gave her to do. I mean, I don't, no disrespect to her. I think she did a fine job. I just don't think they gave the character much in the way of doing,
And most of the time when she was on screen, she's next to J.K. Simmons, who's playing a off-brand Gumby,
It's
who just
so-
stole the show. He was
who's
so much
just
fun
going so
every
hard.
time he was on. It was a
The
great
fact
time.
the fact that we get not one but two Terminator 2 references where he goes underneath the thing and then oh god, I'm like these guys are my age. They're just my age. That's just how it is.
Dude, the Uncanny Valley, just as a set piece
yeah.
and as an
Very
idea,
good.
it's
A
like
lot of fun.
it's fucking great, man.
Yeah,
And
that was
I
funny.
loved those jokes. I thought it was so well done, and it
Those
just like
Polar Express eyes.
yeah, man. Oh, it's this movie for me just hit way more than it did. I feel like at the end of the day, like there is a weird level to me where it's like for as much as I enjoyed it, I don't want to watch it again. And I feel like for this type of movie, for me, I should immediately want to watch it again for it to really kind of like have hit on all the levels. But I'm stoked about it. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
It was fun, a very fun movie. Definitely, if you're thinking about not watching it, you should definitely watch it. It's worth watching for sure.
Fun
Yeah.
time. Bring me
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck now. I'm a huge
Absolutely.
Darkwing Duck kid, and I would love that. So yeah, let's do that.
Kev?
Oh, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot more than I'm coming off on this, and I do think it's worth a watch. I don't think it's great, and like it does definitely like make me want to watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just because that is a stronger movie, and like they both have the same vibe, and it sucks that I'm comparing them, but they are very similar. But anyways, it's a lot of fun.
Definitely go check it out. It's on Disney Plus, which to Nick's point earlier, it's like, yeah, this not being a theater movie, this being a streaming movie, so awesome.
Wild.
Being able to like pause
Wild.
it and look at stuff and like just to have Cool Greg and Gia freak out about different things. So much damn fun. But let us know in the comments below what you thought about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And like I said earlier, stay tuned to youtube.com/KindaFunny and the screencast and in-review podcast feeds all week as we go absolutely insane and see how much of it we actually get to do. I am pretty hopeful right now, but it's Monday, so we'll see. Love you all. Bye.